Which equation has a slope of 5 and passes through -3, 6? Well, we cannot see the slope in any of these equations because they are all in standard form. Remember, standard form is ax plus by equals c. So, for answer choice A, it's in standard form because A is 10, B is -6, and C is 12. My x and y are both on the same side. That's standard form. My constant, meaning a number without a letter, meaning a number that never changes, is sitting on its side by itself. That's standard form. Well, in order to, I'm getting paper, in order to find slope, it needs to be in y equals mx plus b form. So what we have to do is separate the x and the y, just like they're separated here. Now, we've talked about shortcuts, so let's use that shortcut. We know that this one is, this term, this is the x term, is positive. That really means that it was added on this side, so we are going to subtract it and put it on the other side, which is why we write -10x here, and 12 is positive, so it's plus 12. And now we are going to divide the -6, and the 6 will stay negative. Okay, now honestly you should simplify. Okay, 2 goes into this 5 times, 2 goes into that 3 times. Negative divided by negative is a positive. 5/3x, and then that would be -2, because a positive divided by a negative is a negative. So you can write plus a negative or just -2. Well, the slope is not 5. So that is not the answer I want. A is not the answer I want. Let's try B. So he is added here, means he will be subtracted over there. Positive 21, so plus 21. Be careful, you have to bring down the negative line, which means -1. So we're dividing by -1, y equals 5x minus 21. My slope is 5, so this is a possible answer, because now we have to figure out if it passes through -3, 6. Well, what could we do to do that? If this is the point that it passes through, that means a couple of things. X is -3 and y is 6. So I can plug in -3, and the answer I should get should be positive 6. Well, -15 minus 21 is not positive 6, unfortunately. It is -36. And that's because I have 15 negative signs here, 21 negative signs. That's a total of 36 negative signs. I went 15 feet in the ground, and I went 21 more feet in the ground. I am in the ground 36 feet. That's one way to do it. I did not get the 6, so even though I have a slope of 5, my x, when it equals -3, my y does not equal 6. You could have also taken this equation here, plugged it in the calculator, and hit Control-T. Looked on the table to see if -3 was 6. So I'm going to go to the graphing screen and type in 5x minus 21. That's the right equation. Control-T. And to get the negatives, we have to go up. The x are positive down here. X's are positive, x's are negative at the top. And for -3, we got -36, which is what we got by hand. So that's good. It clarified that it is not 6. It is -36. So B is not right. Let's do C. So he is positive. He would be negative. And that, when I say he, I mean the x term. And I don't write plus 42 this time. I'm going to write minus 42. If you put the plus sign, you're going to have to write plus and negative. Now we divide by -2. And y equals, this is positive 5. This is positive 21. So my slope is 5, and I need to see negative 3, 6. So x must be negative 3. If I go 15 feet in the ground, but then I come back 21 feet, so I put 21 feet of dirt in that 15-foot hole, what's going to happen? I'm going to end up filling it up and having some overflow. That's because it's a positive answer, which means 6. Because I would fill up the 15 and then I would be 6 above ground. Well, that's what we need, and you can also check it on the calculator if you wanted to, okay? I'm not going to do that because we did it on the last one. Well, that means that this is the answer. You can check and see that this is not going to have a slope of 5 because that will become positive 3x when you move it to the other side, and positive 6 with a 5y, and you divide off the 5. See? That's not a slope of 5, so that's not an option. The answer is C. On the next question, what is the equation in standard form of a line that passes through the point 124 and has a slope of negative 0.6? For those wondering, I don't know that that is 6/10, which reduces to 2 goes into this 3 times 2 goes into that 5, which reduces to negative 3/5. I don't know that. What can I do so that I can still get from this decimal to this fraction? Well, if you type in negative 0.6 and then hit menu and go down to number, it says approximate to fraction. So that's menu 2, and it'll give you the negative 3/5 that way. So you're looking for a slope of negative 3/5. But it also needs to pass through that point. Now, I didn't mention this on the last problem, but since this is the same problem, I do want to say this. When it says passes through that point, that means when you take these equations, and you put them in the calculator and you graph them, you will see a linear equation. It's going to pass through that point because that point is going to be on that line. Not only is that point on that line, that point is on the table. So the numbers on the table are the points on the line, which are the same points that you plug in, like we did here. So plugging in x, seeing if that x gives you the right y, looking on the table and seeing those points on the graph, that's all the same thing. In this question, I noticed that the AX and the BX, they're all the same for all of them. That means the slope's going to be the same. For instance, let me show you F. Move 3x to the other side, it becomes negative. 125 is positive. Divide by 5. What do you see the slope to be? Negative 3/5. That's the same thing. So what do you think the slope is going to be? Negative 3/5. Okay, let's prove it. Move the 3x over, negative 3x. Divide by 5. What is the slope? I mean, my goodness. Do I need to do h and j? Okay, I'll do one more. Move it over. I think I shouldn't. I think you see it. It's going to be the same thing. So we got lucky on this question. All of the answer choices has this slope. So if you had avoided this question and then said, I'm not going to do it because that's 0.6, you missed out on an easy question because all of these will have the same slope. What is different, however, is the last number, the C. The reason being, if you notice, when I solved this one for y, this is the y-intercept, 123 over 5. This one, the y-intercept was 77 over 5. You see that? And then here, the y-intercept was 125 over 5. So I have different y-intercepts for these answer choices. Now, how do I do this? Do I still solve them all for y, graph them, put them on the table, and then look to see if 124 is there? Sure, you can do that. I'm not saying don't. I mean, go with what feels comfortable with you. So if you have to solve all of these for y, put it in the table, hit Control-T to go to the table, I'm sorry, and look and get 124, see if 124 is there. Okay, do it. There's an easier way though. X equals 1 and y equals 24. So can't you just plug those in? and see if it equals 125 or 77? Of course. Let's try h. 3 times 1 plus 5 times 24 equals 123. So what you can do is type in 3 times 1. And I know you want to do it by hand. I'm not saying don't. I just want to make sure that if you make a mistake, you can catch it. So if I were you, do it by hand and then check it using the calculator. And I have some students say, well, miss, I'm just going to use the calculator because I don't want to miss it. I say do whatever floats your boat. Whatever makes you get to the end result. Passing the test. Do whatever that is. Well, when I typed it in, I got true. That means when this equation is graphed, it will go through 124. 124 is on the table. It's on the graph. It is a point that the graph passes through. So you can type in everything and all the numbers with an equal sign, and it will tell you true or false. So since it said true, that's the answer. Okay, it wants us to write an equation of a line that has a slope of 0. Well, we haven't talked about that in a while. So if you remember from the slope guide, slope 0 is a y value. So it would be y equals, which is negative 8. Write an equation of a line when the slope is undefined. Well, undefined slope is going to be x. See, that's the u, the nose, under the vertical line. So x equals 3. How do you write that in function notation? You can't. Doesn't exist because x equals 3 is a vertical line, which is not a function. So you can't. This one, however, you could rewrite it in function notation. It'd be f of x equals negative 8 because it is a function. It's a horizontal line. How many vertical lines can I draw through that graph, and it only hit once, an infinite amount. And the x values never repeat. Here, if I draw a vertical line, the x values repeat so many times you can't even count them. So this is not a function. This one is a function. That's why you can make it f of x. Okay, now we get to have a little fun. We have to build the equation, give it in the word problem, and then figure out what to do with 950. A painter charges $35 per hour for labor plus $40 for ladder rental when he paints a house. So a painter charges how much? $35 per hour plus how much? $40 for renting the ladder. The customer provides the paint. Okay. The total charge to paint a customer's house is $9.50. The total charge to paint a customer's house. So my question to you is, does $9.50 go here in the H spot or in the Y spot? Well, hopefully you said the Y spot because the Y equals the total. So this is $9.50 equals 35H plus 40. Now there are a couple ways you can do this. You can type this equation in the calculator, look on the table when Y is $9.50, whatever is in the X spot is your answer. That's one way. You can put $9.50 in the Y spot and then type in these answer choices in the H spot and look for the true, the word true in the calculator. So let's try that. $9.50 equals 35 times 12, and then control divide, control divide 2 over 3 plus 40. Says false. Okay, 950 equals 35, 28 plus 40. False. And we'll go in and delete and put times 23. False. So the answer is not there. So I tried all of the answer choices and I got false. Let's see what the answer really is. So minus 40, 9, 10 equals 35. H divided by 35. So H would be 9, 10 divided by 35, which is 26 hours. And that's not listed, is it? No, it's not. So There you have it. It wasn't there. Next question. Students at a school will sell hats to raise money. There are some hats left over from last year, and 20 boxes of hats will be ordered this year. When the order arrives, the total number of hats the students will have can be determined by using the function f of x equals 48x plus 37. Go back. What does this say? The total number of hats the students will have can be determined. What? So you mean to tell me the total number of hats that the students will have is this equation? That's important. We need to know that. That's important. Where x, okay, that's important. What is x? X is the number of boxes. Do you see the word box next to 20? What do you think 20 is? It's x. If the number of hats per box changes, the number of hats per box does what? So 48 changed to 24. That's what it's saying. Then how many fewer hats will the students have available to sell if they order 20 boxes? So x is 20 and x is 20. Figure out the difference. So 48 times 20 plus 37 equals 997. 24 times 20 plus 37, 517. 997 minus 517. The answer would be, there will be a difference of 480. So you had to first realize that f of x, meaning y, is the total number of hats. Then you had to realize that when it told you x is the number of boxes. Then you had to realize that it said the boxes, hats per box changed. That's hats per box. Hats per box changed. And then it told you what the number of boxes were, 20. So I put my 20 in here because that's x. How do I know? Because it says x is the number of boxes. Ta-da! Okay, let's do this one. I want to know which of the following equations are represented by the graph. So let's do the ones that are obvious. Number 1, that's easy. So does it start at -2? Yes. Does it go down? It doesn't go down 3. It goes up. This is a positive line that says negative. If you can't do what I'm doing, you can easily put that in the calculator. So it can, 1 does not represent that graph. Okay. So now we have to do this one. Now, you should be able to solve for at this moment, but if you can't, I want to show you a little trick that I haven't shown you. So go to menu 3, 2, because we're talking about an equation, 1, 3. And again, it's called menu 3213. Just enter in 2. I have to enter in -3 and then 6. Press enter. And it goes through -2 and it goes through +3. -2, +3. It looks like 2 is a winner. Let's do it by hand and see if we can solve it for y. 2x over -2x plus 6. 6 is positive. Divide by -3. Y equals +2 over 3x minus 2. Starts at 2, goes up. It starts at -2, goes up 2 to the right 3. So yes, 2 is one of the equations that represents that graph. If you don't remember how to do number 3, there's a couple of ways you could do it. You could use the box to do it. So x squared minus 2x minus 3x plus 6. So this is x squared. And you add those, that's minus 5x plus 6. That's one way. Now, then you can graph it and look to see if it matches that. But you should know that this is quadratic. And that is a linear graph. I know it's quadratic because of the square, so it's going to look like a parabola. So this is not that graph. Last but not least, we have point slope. And so if you cannot solve this, just type it in just like that in the calculator, but you first have to move the 2 over. So it'd be plus 2. And then you would type all of that in the calculator. Now, if you're not going to remember to do that, you have to solve that by hand, or else you're stuck with, okay, here's 2, because we know 2 is right. There's 2. This one doesn't have 2. This one doesn't have 2. We know that 3, well, look at that. We know that 3 is not right. We didn't even have to solve for 4. The answer would have been A, because 3 is not right. So you got lucky on that one. But we need to know how to do this one. So let's do it real quick. And if you don't need this, move on to the, just fast forward. But I want to put it in here just in case someone needs it. So I'm going to distribute. And when I multiply this times negative 6, that is 2/3 times negative 6 over 1. That's negative 12 over 3, which is negative 4. For those saying, oh, you lost me, miss. Okay, control dot calculator. Control divide 2 over 3 times negative 6. And see, it's negative 4. Let me do it again. Control divide 2 divided by 3 times negative 6. Uh-oh. Control divide. I put the 6 down there, so don't do that. Press over first. There we go. Times negative 6. And there it is, negative 4. I wanted you to see what I typed in, just in case. So that's a no, don't do that. As you can see, it gave me the wrong answer. Okay, so then y minus 2, I have to move this away, so plus 2, and I have 2/3 x, and that is down 4 in the ground, back up 2, I'm still down there 2, 2/3 x minus 2, which is at negative 2 up 2 over 3. So yes, 4 is one of the equations that represents that graph. There are 2,400 pieces of candy in a candy ball machine. Each time a customer pays for candy, 6 pieces are dispensed. 6 pieces are dispensed. 6 pieces are dispensed. How long will it take for the candy ball machine to have 1,488 pieces of candy left? It sounds like a total. There are 2,400 pieces of candy in a candy bar machine. So that's the starting point. That's where you start. Each time a customer pays for candy, so each time that a customer pays for candy, 6 pieces are dispensed. What do you think X is going to be? Times that the customer pays for the candy, because no matter how many times I pay for the candy, 6 are going to come out. So each time I pay, 6 come out. So if I do it 1 time, I'm going to lose 6. If I do it 2 times, I'm going to lose 12. See? Now, tell me how long will it take? The times that the customer is going to pay for the candy, will it take for 1,488 pieces to be left? So I'm going to start at 2,400 and go down 6 times each time until I get to 1,488. Could you do that the long way? Of course you could. Yes. If there are answer choices, could you plug them in and then get true here? Yes. So let's play the guess game. Equal, you know what? I take that back. Let me show you menu 3, 1. When you're solving for x, you have to put everything in equals negative 6x plus 2,400. And then do comma x. And it will tell you the value of x. 152. So it'll take 152 times. And how can we check that? Negative 6 times 152 plus 2,400 gives me 1,000. Go back. 1,488. And what did I do to go back? I hit 4 current, or you currently run, and took me right back. Okay, so the answer is 152. Could you have written 2,400 and just kept subtracting 6 and then counted the times? Yes, but that would have taking a long time. So yes, you could have started at 2400 and counted minus 6, minus 6, minus 6, minus 6 until you got to 1488 and then counted up how many times you had to do it. I wouldn't have done it that way, but you know, whatever works. Given T, which equals 3D plus 30, where T represents the temperature and D represents the degrees in Celsius, find the temperature at 75 degrees Celsius. Well, 75 degrees Celsius is D. Why? Because D represents the degrees in Celsius. And where does 75 go? In the D spot. 3 times 75 plus 30 equals T. You could have also changed that to Y and that to X. Put it in a calculator, looked on the table for when X was 75, what's in the Y spot will be the answer. You can also use menu 3-1, menu 3, solve for X, or solve for Y in this problem. So it's just isolating the variable. We're going to use T because we have T equals 3. You have to put the equal sign, the entire thing, but this time I put comma T. And I left out my plus sign. There we go. And enter. The answer is 255. Yay. Can we check that? 3 parentheses 75 plus 30 equals 255. Alright. Next question. Okay, an architect is designing an office building within floors that have an FM radio antenna that is 1585 meters tall on the roof. Each floor of the building will have 3.9 meters high, or will be 3.9 meters high. So 3.9 needs to go next to my letter N, because N represents the floor. So 3.9 N. That doesn't have it, that does, that does, that doesn't. What is 1585 going to be? Which function can be used to find the total height? Well, if I know that the architect is designing this office building and it's going to have so many floors, but there's also a radio antenna that's 1585 meters tall on the roof. Here's the building, here's the antenna. So my question is, if I want the total height, do I subtract or do I add? You would add. Add on the antenna. Okay, we're going to stop the video and then start the video to do the next few terms. Or next few questions. I said term because it says term right there. It's 6 something in the morning. Oh, Lord.